Good evening and welcome back to Nice Drop of Port. Tonight we've got a really special guest, Tommy Smith, Auckland FC centre-back and general football superstar in this part of the world. He's played all over the world, up in the Championship in the UK, and now he is a big part of this Auckland FC team that's leading the charge in the A-League. Tommy Smith, welcome, mate. How you going?
I'm really well, thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, no, it's really cool to have you on. Well, Matt's with us tonight, and Robbie. These are our local resident pundits on the show. We do a lot of talking about the football, Tommy, but you do a lot of playing it. So we're going to be really interested to hear your perspective tonight. We actually rate you guys some weeks. I don't know if you know that. I feel a bit embarrassed.
Oh, I didn't know
not we, Matt. I'm gonna.
Okay, I don't know if I want to know. Yeah, I don't know if I want to know what those ratings are. But...
You're always up there. You're always up there.
Good to know. Good to know.
You've done all right. Well, let me start by asking you, Tommy. Like, we're 4 or 5 months into this season. I mean, are you and the other players? I mean, what's it like to be living this? Like it's gone spectacularly well. Are you kind of still pinching yourself a little bit at how well it's going?
Not so much anymore. I think that initial period where we won the first 6 games, that was probably sort of the honeymoon period for us all. And then we got brought back down to earth with a bang against Western United in that game at home, with a heavy loss there. And then we sort of had to regroup. We've got a great guy, Hamish, who's like our mental skills coach, and every month we have a plan put together of what we want it to look like, how we're going to get there, and we just sort of took stock of what made us successful in that initial period, and just sort of zoned in on getting back to that. And obviously, since we haven't got on an amazing run like that, but it's managed to keep us top of the league at the moment. And now we're this far into the season, there is a real belief within the group that we can go all the way. But listen, it's not going to be an easy thing. In a salary capped league, it's so even. Every week you come up against a team that could beat you on any given day if you're not on your game. So we know that we have to keep giving everything we've got in each game to try and come out on top of it.
It's been, well, what you're saying is it's kind of a league with fine margins because everyone's quite equally balanced. What would you put it down to at this stage that it has managed to have Auckland FC get ahead of the rest?
Probably in those early stages, it's probably a bit of the unknown for the other teams. Obviously, that's not the case anymore. We've played against every team now, and they know what we've got. So that's probably going to prove a challenge in itself. They sort of know our strengths, and likewise we know theirs. So it's going to be more of a sort of war of attrition. I think we saw that against MacArthur at the weekend. We sort of stifled each other a little bit in that first half. Albeit there was a couple of goals, but it's very much more of a cagey affair when we come up against these other top teams now, knowing that we don't want to give an inch to the other team.
Yeah, and a lot's been talked about, and Terry McFlynn, we had him on a month ago or so, about the fitness of this team and the fact that, obviously our owners are the same as Bournemouth's owners in the Premier League in England. And there's a lot of sharing of data analytics, but also of like training schedules. Like, was the training sort of pre-season and in the early weeks, has it been harder than anything you've experienced, or kind of the same?
100%. At the ripe old age of 34 now, it's certainly been the hardest pre-season I've ever had. But equally, I'm the fittest I feel like I've ever been, and that's testament to the staff that Auckland FC got in place first and foremost, but the staff that they have brought in are real top class, and they're so mindful, and they leave no stone unturned, and they put us through our paces. Don't get me wrong, like I said, it's by far the hardest I've ever had a pre-season, and the longest as well. It's a 3-month pre-season, so yeah, it's a long one to get through. But the proof is in the pudding. The number of late goals that we're scoring is testament to the work that we are doing and how fit we are as a group.
Do you and the other players feel that as you go into those last 10-15 minutes that you believe that you've still got the fitness in the locker and the know-how to get those late goals? Because we've seen it so many times from you guys this year.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it almost becomes a habit as well. And then teams become fearful of the fact that they know we score late goals. That probably plays a part as well in their psychology. So, yeah, it's brilliant for us. We know and we do feel strong going into those last 10 minutes. We know that we finished every game the stronger, probably bar MacArthur away in the Unite round where we were under the cosh a little bit. I think most of the other games we finished as the stronger team. And yeah, it's been great. Hopefully, it can continue for the rest of the season as well.
Yeah. I'm interested in Tommy in your sort of story arc with Auckland FC. You know, you obviously really experienced. You come here and you're on the bench for the first fair few games, right? And what was that like for you as a senior pro? I mean, I've got a ticket down to the port, and we used to see you warming up, you know, with the subs. What was that like for you? How did you handle that?
Yes, I mean, listen, every professional player wants to play week in, week out, every minute of every match, but that's just not how football works. You know, you've got a squad of 20 odd players, only 11 can start each game. And I think it probably took me a while in my career to get my head around that fact. You know, when I was a younger player, if this was happening to me when I was 22, 23, I would have reacted far differently and been sort of belligerent and probably let it affect me in a negative way. But I think as you get older, you obviously become more mature. And I just looked at it as, listen, the lads were doing fantastic. It's not like we were losing every week and I still wasn't getting a kick. So I knew that they were playing well and I just had to support that as best I could. And if I got opportunities off the bench, take it as well as I could. And just try and be a positive influence around it if I wasn't in that starting 11, because as I keep being told, you're a long time retired and enjoy the moments when they're there. You know, I'm not going to play every minute of every game, and I just have to accept that. But obviously now that I am in the team and I want to put in the performances that keep me in the team for the rest of the season. You know, that's just how I work. I'm not happy sitting on the bench, but equally I wanted to give the best version of myself whilst I was in that position, and hopefully I did, and hopefully it showed that I still cared and was enjoying the wins just as much when I wasn't starting as I am now that I am starting.
Yeah, we're talking about enjoying the wins. I think Robbie's got a question about these celebrations we're seeing, right?
Yeah.
After the game.
Well, I find it really interesting that you're the one that seems to be leading all the celebrations every time. Like, how did you appoint yourself the vibes manager? Because you seem to be the first one over there. You're the one that's holding the phone, doing the team selfie. How did that happen?
But that sort of got the selfie one sort of got thrust upon me, and then it's sort of, because it happened the first couple of times, our social media guy just wants to keep it consistent. But no, when I used to play for Ipswich, our captain at the time, Luke Chambers, he always did. If we won a game, he always did like a fist bump to the crowd, like got them going and did a fist bump. And I just thought, you know, I spoke to my family, my dad and my brother, and they said, why don't you try and bring the fist bump to Auckland FC? So that's what I've tried to do, and hopefully everyone enjoys it. I tried to get all of the lads involved in it as well, not just me on my own. So because listen, we are all in a group together, and we appreciate what you guys bring for us massively, and hopefully it's just a small token of our appreciation that we come over and celebrate with you guys, win, lose or draw.
Awesome. It's certainly appreciated and noticed by everyone, mate. It's fantastic to see.
You're obviously one of the senior leaders in the team. Does leadership come easy to you, Tommy? Like, or is it something you've sort of had to learn, like, at this stage?
I don't think you can call yourself a leader. I think that is sort of become you by your teammates and the staff. You know, if you call yourself a leader, you're probably not a leader in my eyes. So it sort of comes with the experience that I've got. You know, I've played over 500 games in my career. So on pitch, know how. Off the pitch, I've seen most things that can happen. So in terms of young players, I can help them react to certain situations, or let them know if they're reacting in the right way, or what may be perceived by the coach if they're doing certain things. So I'm trying to help people all the time, and that's probably why I've been put in these sort of leadership roles, because I do it with the All Whites as well, where I'm just trying to help people become better players, because ultimately we become a better team. If we've got better players, we become a better team. And sometimes that's sort of not worked in my favour, whereas players have played in my position that I've helped sort of bring up through the ranks. But listen, I take great pride in seeing them do well and seeing their careers progress as well.
Awesome.
Yeah, I was that kind of leads a bit of a segue onto my question. I don't want to write you off yet, Tommy. I think you've got plenty of time left, or plenty of years left. But you're kind of in the position. My football team has a guy who's in his mid-30s, and he's signed a contract for another year. But I could think they just wanted him around the club as a kind of a consummate professional, kind of he's a bit of a leader, and how to kind of pass that on to the other players that are coming through, because there's been quite a turnover at the team that I support. But yeah, how do you see yourself kind of like moving forward? Is there something like kind of the coaching role or something with Auckland, or is it where you go?
To be honest, I don't think that far ahead yet. I want to play as long as the body and mind is able to do so. I want to play for as long as possible. Away from football, I am doing some studying. I'm doing like a financial advisory course.
Okay.
Just something completely separate that could take my focus away from football for those brief moments where I actually sit down and make myself study. It doesn't happen very often.
Yeah. And the other one was just the how you dealt with the Perth game. Just with the distance and the travelling. I just felt watching that game, it was a bit of a funny old game, and the kind of the Auckland FC blueprint was a bit. I don't know. Was it the distance or that just seemed to be? Did that affect the guys much, or was it just one of those games where you just you hold your hands up and say that it's just what it is, and try and take some.
Yeah, well, the preparation was good. We went on the Wednesday, so we went with plenty of days to get over the travel and get over the sort of jet lag, because you get jet lag with the time difference that there is there. But we also try to avoid falling into that trap of Perth were bottom of the league at the time and didn't want to be complacent. But listen, sometimes those teams at the bottom, they're fighting for their lives. They don't want to be the team at the bottom anymore. And to be fair to them, they started really well. They pressed us really well. And it sort of caught us off guard a little bit. And obviously they got their goal, which gives them something to hold on to. And I think after that, you've seen the chances that we had. We could have won 3 games. Do you know what I mean? So I don't think it was obviously the result wasn't great, but it wasn't like we got done 4 or 5 and got played off the park. On another day we would have won that game. But I can't. The preparation. Listen, we know we've got a lot of travel in this league, and there's no getting away from that. But I think we've dealt with it well so far. The sort of protocols we have in place for traveling and recovery once we get to places is brilliant. Like I've said before, the fitness coach and his staff are excellent, and I think it's shown as well. Again, when we've gone to away games, Western Sydney, and we've still finished the games the stronger team. So yeah,
it's a bit. Go on, Del.
Oh no, I was just going to say, like you mentioned their teams scrapping it, for survival at the bottom. It's a little bit different in the A-League, and that was going to be my segue back into your career. Essentially, you spent a long time in the Championship and even I think a little bit in League One over in England. Do you remember back to when you signed to be a professional footballer, or is it too long ago now? Do you remember what that felt like?
No, I remember it. Like, I first went on trial to Ipswich Town when I was 14, and I had a 6-week trial there, and halfway through that trial they offered me a scholarship, which is the initial 2-year sort of apprenticeship. Then the next year I was getting interest from other teams, so they added in a 2-year professional contract on top of the 2-year apprenticeship. So from that point, I knew that I was going to be football. I was probably 15 at the time, but that doesn't hit home. You sign your professional contract, you're still not a proper player. I hadn't played a first team game yet. It wasn't until I went on my first loan into what was the conference at the time, so the National League now, to Stevenage.
Stevenage.
Yeah, that was right. Yeah, and it's proper men's football. I played 15 games there. I spent 10 of the 15 games, I had a bandage around my head from getting cut open from the elbow. So it toughened me up and got me ready for what was to come. The following season, I then broke into the Ipswich first team. So it was a long time ago now, but yeah, it's brilliant. Obviously, dreamed of becoming a professional footballer from ever since I can remember. And to still be doing it now, sort of 17, 18 years later, is brilliant for me and gives me such a sense of pride and my family as well.
And the championship is known as a tough league over there. You were at the Tractor Boys for like 10, 11 years. You know, you had these loans. I wanted to ask you about like when Roy Keane comes to the club. You know, like what are your memories of playing under Roy Keane?
Yes, there's loads of stories. There's loads of stories.
Give us one.
Well, the initial meeting. So he comes in. We obviously see the announcement. Roy Keane's going to be our next manager. So we're like, most of the lads are buzzing. Like, obviously a legend of the game, done well at Sunderland. He'd got them promoted.
Yeah.
So he comes in, sits us all down, and the first thing he says is, you know, like managers nowadays, my door's always open. If you ever want to chat, come and see me. The first thing Roy Keane says, the decisions I make are final. Do not come and speak to me. My door is closed, effectively. That was the first thing he said. And it was just it was a little bit walking on eggshells with him. If you were seen to be having a good time, I think he saw that as you weren't taking it seriously and weren't being professional enough. So there's times like we were doing a 5v2, so a rondo 5v2 in a square. And one of the lads, he was a young lad at the time, I think he might have been 16, 17 even. He did like a Rabona in this 5v2. Was supposed to be starting the game, dropped him based off the fact that he did a Rabona in a 5v2 warm-up. Just little things like that. And there's so many stories about it. But do you know what? He actually... For me, he was the first manager that played me fairly regularly, so sort of gave me my footing in the game. So for me, like from a development perspective and getting game time, he was really good for me.
To be trusted by someone like Roy Keane would be a lovely thing, I imagine. You know, like it'd make you play twice as hard, probably.
Yeah, absolutely. He just didn't want to get bollocking. So
yeah, well, that's what I mean.
Just out of fear.
Yeah.
Play well. Yeah.
And your career over in England, it kind of, you had a few bad injuries and then a few loans, so it sort of stopped and started. But it looks like you did about 4 or 5 years in the first team in Ipswich, right? Overall.
Yeah, well, 4 or 5 years where I played sort of most games in the season. Yeah. Yeah, so I had quite a bad injury when I was 18. I did a fracture dislocation of my ankle, which kept me out for almost 7 months. So that I just made my debut, and then 3 weeks later that happened. So obviously the bad timing, but managed to come back from that. And yeah, so listen, I can't complain. Listen, I've had a couple of bad injuries, but you know, to have played the number of games I've played now, I wouldn't have dreamed of still being a professional player at this moment in time. And the body's great at the minute. You know, I feel good. Likewise, like I just said earlier, it's probably testament to the sports scientists I've had over the years that have helped keep me fit and in check and looking after my body the right way. And listen, all that's come on leaps and bounds as well since I started as a professional. You know, the nutrition, everything around the game is just so much more professional than it was 17, 18 years ago.
Yeah, interesting.
Absolutely. And you and then you move on. You spend some time over in the league in America, the MLS. What was that like? Colorado?
Yeah, it was Colorado. So Anthony Hudson, who was obviously All Whites head coach, he got the job at Colorado, gave me a call. And I'd just recovered from my back surgery at Ipswich, but I'd lost my place to Adam Webster, who's now at Brighton. So obviously very good player. Mick McCarthy pulled me in and he said, look, you've had this injury you've come back from. MLS has less games. It's a chance for you to sort of career longevity almost, to go over there, start playing regularly again without the exertion of Saturday, Tuesday. So took stock of it and just thought this was before me and my wife had kids, so it was just the two of us. We thought we'd go and check it out, so have a life experience, and it was brilliant. Completely different to England in terms of obviously no relegation. You're playing in a summer season, so everything was different, and your away games have gone from Blackpool away to LA, New York, Vancouver. It was a bit of a difference. Amazing experience.
Yeah. I'm glad you never said Birmingham.
Now, was Beckham finished by then? He would have been finished by then, eh?
I'm not that old.
Beckham.
No, jeez, Dale, come on.
I'm even older, so time is less.
It's just all like that. It's all over there,
yeah. No, he was long gone by then. No, when I was there, I was playing against David Villa, Wayne Rooney, Zlatan Ibrahimovic, so like legends of the game that had gone over there. So some real good tests for me, and it was brilliant. The whole experience was great.
Yeah, great. And then I see we're going to go through your career, and then I see you go back to Sunderland, and during the pandemic, is it? But you're not there very long. You don't play, or injury or something.
Well, no. So I came off the back of Colorado and didn't have a club back in England, and it was the personal reasons why we didn't stay in Colorado was that we was trying for kids and we had to go through IVF. So we wanted to do that back in England, surrounded by sort of my wife's family and all our friend network. So I was looking for a club, ended up signing for Sunderland. Obviously wasn't match fit because I hadn't played since I think early November, and I wasn't able to sign somewhere until January and all that. So signed for Sunderland. They wanted to get me up to speed fitness wise. I was on the bench a couple of times, played reserve games, and then COVID hit. So I only signed to the end of the season, and then unfortunately I literally packed up. Well, they sent us home on the Friday saying have the weekend off, like this COVID had just kicked off, and we'll come back in on Monday. Never went back. So I had like an apartment up there, had to just get it all shipped back by a staff member up there. So unfortunately that never worked out, but it's a fantastic club with fantastic facilities. They're doing really well again.
Huge fan base, and yeah, I mean we've seen the doco Sunderland till I die, and that would have been an experience if that had kicked on. But so that doesn't kick on, and then you basically you're at Colchester for a couple of years down in the lower leagues. Colchester.
Yeah, again that's because so that was again my wife had got pregnant, the IVF had worked, and COVID was still in full force, and I had opportunities to go overseas again, but we just felt for personal and family reasons to stay close to family and friends was really important when having our first child. So Colchester was on my doorstep. I lived in Ipswich at the time, and it was a 20-minute drive down the road. So it just made sense in that regard. But from a football perspective, probably the wrong decision from a career perspective. But, I spent 2 or 3 years there playing regularly, and I would have liked to have been playing at a higher level, but just for personal reasons, we chose that one.
Yeah, I was just thinking, sure. But Birmingham City should have been giving you a call.
Matt Sports Birmingham City.
Yeah,
it does. Never a guess.
It does. We'd have definitely, 2020, blimey. Yeah, we were shipping goals in left, right, and bloody centre.
Taking anyone, eh?
We'd have definitely had you down there. Yeah.
I think we played against Birmingham in the cup, and I think we lost 1-0. So.
That's probably the only highlight of the season. That was
rare win.
That would have been a rare win that year, probably. So yeah.
It's interesting though. I don't know if a lot of football fans ever think, geez, these footballers, they're actually people as well. They've got their own lives and stuff going on. We're just sort of watching the football, but that's kind of interesting. And did that kind of your lives dictate to moving back to this part of the world, Tommy? I mean, obviously you went over to Macarthur and did half a season there, but then you've ended up back in New Zealand. Does that sort of come into it?
Certainly had a bearing. Yeah, I mean, ultimately, like I want to carry on being picked for the All Whites, and what better place to do that than right under the nose of the head coach in this country. Coupled with that, my family are based over here. I've got my family are down in Papamoa. I've got my mum and dad, brother and a sister that are all down that way. So to come and spend time over here, bring my kids over here for the life experience, and it was a bit of a no-brainer for that moment in time. And did I imagine it would be going as well as it has? Probably not. I don't think any of us pictured it going as well as it has so far. But yeah, it's been a fantastic experience, and the club have been great. You know, they've the way they're putting things in place for the community, and not just like the on-pitch stuff. They're actually buying into the community as a whole, and trying to get people on board, and trying to get lifelong fans, which is where perhaps the previous entities of the Auckland professional football teams have failed.
Yeah.
The club just seems
trying to work that out.
Go on, Robbie.
Sorry, Dale. Yeah, no, I was just trying to figure that out, because you would have left just before the Kings started up. Is that right? 97, 98?
No. So I remember watching the Kings and the Knights both play, and I left in 2006.
Oh, okay.
Back to England.
Yeah, because that's one thing that's like, and I've tried to explain to these two as fellow Brits. Like growing up in Auckland, we didn't have that kind of that football culture that you would, having spent the bulk of your time over in the UK, you know what that's like. But then growing up in New Zealand, that sporting landscape is so different. So I don't know how easy or hard this would be for you to reflect on, but from then to now, to what the Port's doing, what the club's doing in terms of changing that experience and just sort of embracing that football culture, for want of a better term. How have you seen that change? Or what do you think? What's your take on that?
I think it's been coming for a long time. Football as a sport in New Zealand has grown and grown in that time. So it was probably now the right time for it to happen again in Auckland. And with regards to the way the club's done it, I think what they've done perfectly is for match days, especially, the family event. So you're not going there just to watch 90 minutes of football. If you've got young kids, they've got the big slide, the sand pit, like you're going for a family day out. And I think that's encapsulated a lot of people that probably wouldn't have gone if that wasn't there. And it adds to the whole atmosphere.
Definitely.
And to have the Port, such a passionate fan base for such a young club I've never seen that. It's fantastic, and hopefully you can see how much it means to us on the pitch that you guys are there. I know it's a cliche, but you are our 12th man, and we hear the chants, and it does help us massively on the pitch.
Yeah, there's been a real connection that I guess the club could only have dreamed of at the beginning. It could have been a real damp squib, this team, but it's just incredible. It feels like a real football crowd when you're in the Port, And I mean, what does it feel like from the players on the pitch? Like you.
Yeah, no, it's like I said, it's fantastic. We hear the chants, and my brother's in there every week with his sons and my nephew, and they love it. They've bought into it massively. They start at Tyler Street, get the train over, and they love it, and it's fantastic. Like I said, I think it's what Auckland needed from a football perspective. The club have gone about things the right way. Obviously, helped by the fact that on the pitch we're doing well. Because equally, it could have, if we'd have lost the first 6 games, a lot of these people that have been coming to the games probably wouldn't be coming anymore. But they've seen a successful team. They want to keep coming back and watching it, and hopefully, like I say, it continues.
There's a question about your brother on the live chat. Did you catch Dave Young on Facebook says, can you ask Tommy if he caught the words to the song involving his brother on the way in on Saturday, please?
Yeah. So I was driving in.
What are they, Tommy?
It's a family show. It's all good. It's all good. So I was driving in, and I see my nephew with Smith 5 shirt on, so I pulled over to say hello, and they start singing, because my brother basically he drives the minibus up from Papamoa, so brings a group of them up from there, and they start chanting to me, this fella leans through the window and goes, "It's just a bus driver's brother."
Yeah,
So
that's good.
Yeah, that was
good.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's a good one.
That is a good one. That's a good one. That'd easily be at home in the UK. It's good. It's smart. I like that. Really good. Yeah, it's very good.
It's great. We're trying to get some more organic chants in there. Hey, I've got a trivia question for you, Tommy. Right, brace yourself. Okay.
Yeah.
What does the third president of the United States have in common with footballer Tommy Smith?
Come on. I know this. Does anyone else know? There you go. Ask them.
Yeah.
We got it.
Who else knows? Go on, Tommy. You tell us the answer.
Thomas Jefferson.
You both named Thomas Jefferson at birth, right?
Yeah. There we go.
Is there a story behind that, or?
Yeah.
No. I don't think so. I think, yeah.
Fans of the third president of the United States.
Know of the president, the names he had, and just went with that as my middle name. Yeah. There's no real. I don't think there's any real meaning behind it.
So there's no lineage or something. I was thinking there's a link back to Thomas Jefferson. Yeah, there's some kind of.
No, not that I know of. No.
Solid left foot, maybe. I don't know. Did he kick anyone in the Oval Office?
Yeah, don't know. Can't answer that. Sorry.
Move on from that one.
Yeah, move on.
Nice. Just before you go, Tommy, just wanted to sort of ask you about the World Cup. You know, you went to the one in 2010, played all 3 games. You know, you're obviously keen to go to the next World Cup. There'll be 4 World Cups apart, basically.
I know. Yeah, I think I read a stat somewhere that said that if me and Chris would go to the next World Cup, it'll be the longest appearances at a World Cup that any player's ever done, or something like between appearances.
Yeah.
So that would be cool. Listen, there's a long way to go before that happens. You know, there's almost 18 months. Anything can happen in that time. Would I love to be there? Of course. And all I can keep doing is just keep playing as well as I can when the opportunity is given to me, and and see where that takes us.
Yeah, if you get there, you'll have been to one more World Cup than Paul Gascoigne. He only ever went to one World Cup.
It always comes back to Tottenham.
Well, it does with me. Yeah, I'm a Spurs fan, so I've got more interest in Roy Keane these days because he's come out as a Spurs fan in the last few years. Old Roy Keane, you'd never believe it, would you?
Wow.
You'd always associate him with United, but no, he's a
that?
Spurs fan.
A lot of Irish people.
How's that trophy cabinet looking?
It's looking pretty empty. My brother is also a Spurs fan. Reckons we'll lose 10-0 to Liverpool tomorrow. Like, he reckons we'll go out there and get absolutely spanked. So we'll see.
Always nice to go in with a positive mindset.
Yeah. I'm only slightly more positive, eh? All right, Tommy. Well, thank you very much for coming on, mate. We're going to let you go. Just wanted to wish you and the team, obviously, all the best for the rest of the season if we don't speak to you before. And you're doing some great stuff. Any other comments, lads, before Tommy pops off?
Just that, mate. What you brought to the team, and even to the league as well. It's like there's a level of professionalism and standards that I think we haven't really seen for a while in the competition, let alone a squad. So, thank you for what you're doing. I did message Jake Spoonley because I work for the host broadcaster in Australia. So there's a bit of contact between me and Jake. So I tried to get some dirt on you, and he said, I got nothing. You're just one of the great lads. So, mate, seriously, thank you for everything that you're doing.
Yeah. No, listen, I appreciate the kind words, and obviously keep up the good work, and hopefully we can all be celebrating come the end of the season.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we did have a post on Reddit today, which one of the Redditors said he's had a tenner on you to score in every game, and you've not scored yet. So when are you going to score? He says.
What are the odds?
I'm due one.
Yeah,
I'm due one. It'd be nice to do it in the derby.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
I know. I'm due one. I'll get there. I'm getting closer.
Score in the derby, Tommy, for us. Score in the derby.
Yeah. There we go.
The other thing as well is just to rate the people we've had on the show. So Tommy goes straight to the top.
He's got to go. So we have ratings of all the pros or ex-pros that come on. We've only had 2, and we've got Terry McFlynn and Daniel McBreen. And McBreen's in number 1 at the moment. McFlynn's in 2. Can we put Tommy Smith in at number 1? Do we think? What do you reckon, Tommy? Were you a better player than Terry McFlynn?
Easy.
That's for other people to decide.
the guy's an international.
Well, here we go. We're going to put you in a number 1.
There you go.
It's official. It's official. Yeah. The problem is though, we might get Stan Lazaridis on the show, so it might be up in the. It might be a chance.
I'll just have to hold my hands up to that one. Yeah. To be fair.
He's going to knock you off. Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah. It's next blue note. Next blues playing. What can I say? Yeah. There you go.
All right, Tommy. Thank you very much. We're gonna pop you off, and have a great season, mate. Thank you very much for coming on.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, guys. Take care. Look after yourselves.
Yeah.
Bye.
Cheers.
There we go. Tommy Smith, Auckland FC centre back, and he played 267 times for Ipswich Town in the Championship. I mean, that's
not bad.
Consistent, you know.
That's bloody good.
Yeah,
It's very good.
More than 50 caps for the All Whites. Hoping to go to the next World Cup. 16 years on from the last time him and Chris.
Can't help but think it would have been awesome to see him in the Prem at some point. Like he was probably one of the most accomplished defenders in the lower leagues to never have played or never even have tasted it. So it's a shame.
They didn't quite have the team Ipswich
Yeah.
around the time he was there to get up.
It's circumstances.
Yeah, he could have kicked on. Mentioning Chris Wood again. I mean, we do mention him a lot, but he's just playing out of his skin in a different stratosphere this year. I mean, 17 goals. He's going to probably get the Golden Boot in the Premier League.
He's now 47th in the history of Premier League scorers. He's 47th.
Wow.
All time, which is
not to be sniffed at.
I saw something pop up where he's the people that have scored the most Premier League goals for each team that's in the Premier League, and I think he's in there twice. He's in there for Nottingham Forest, and he's in there for
Burnley.
Yeah,
I think it was Burnley. Yeah. Which is just ridiculous.
Yeah, it's insane. It's a great.
And even to just throw it kind of out there, like someone asked the question, who like with what he's achieved now, does he surpass Winton as New Zealand's greatest ever?
Oh, yeah.
And I kind of I was asked that.
Winton didn't achieve what Wood achieved.
But if Nottingham somehow managed to do a Leicester, which isn't out of the realms of impossibility that we because it's happened. Leicester did it.
Yeah.
If he does that with this team, I think that does take him ahead of Winton, just purely based on like what he did back in the 80s in the Bundesliga with a very good Bremen team playing in Europe and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But I think for Chris Wood to take Nottingham Forest to the top of the Premier League, I think that's a greater achievement.
I just think he's.
Even if they qualify for the Champions League this year, I think is enough to put him in that realm.
Definitely.
There's nothing harder than scoring goals consistently in the Premier League. It's very hard. A lot of guys get called out for having a season, they're not doing so well. There's not many guys that consistently score goals.
Yeah, it was kind of funny because I remember pre-season we were almost saying, "Oh, maybe Chris Wood's kind of almost done up there, and he might come and join Auckland FC." Yeah. Since then, he's like kicked on, signed a new contract. They never imagine losing him. So great story for Chris Wood. All right, we're gonna bring our next guests on. We've got here. Let's just bring them on. Here we go. We have Brooke and Shane. You're on mute. Can I switch you off mute? Let's give us a little wave.
There we go.
Hello.
Got a team. How we going?
Hello. How you going? You all right?
Very good.
Great, fantastic. Great to be here.
I think you're the first double guest that's ever appeared on the show.
Yeah, I think we are. Yeah.
The first
how this
double
goes.
hitter. See how it goes. You're probably wondering why you're here, are you?
I think we all are.
Well, let me let you in on why Brooke and Shane are here. So I know Brooke a little bit better than I know Shane, but Brooke and I's daughters are friends So they've been going to the same school, and we've been to a few parties of each other's kids' parties down the years, and then I'm up at Auckland FC about 6 weeks ago, down the front, and I see out the corner of my eye this sort of woman, tottering down the steps, carrying four bright blue drinks. And
Oh my gosh.
There she is. Yeah, and she, and she's like, yeah, we're getting on it. It's a big game. Yes. and then again last week, you were up behind us in the port, and you and Shane and your mates were just absolutely screaming and shouting and just loving it. So like, tell us like, how have you become involved with this football club and going to the games?
Oh, absolutely. Well, actually, it's been a new one for me coming into learning about football and just coming on with this AFC craze. And for me, it's really great that we've got a team that we can go behind and support as Aucklanders. I mean, it's great that we can be proud and, just celebrate our identity as Auckland. I mean, the people that come to the games are all diverse. People that live in Auckland come from all different walks of life. I mean, we sometimes
you're
we
Westies.
come along.
You're Westies like me.
Yeah,
we're very diverse.
We've got a 10-year-old and a 5-year-old. Sometimes we bring the family along, and then they can go and play on the slide and in the beach, and that's been fantastic. And other times we've come along with a bunch of mates and getting really into the chants. It's really cute. It's at the point where our 5-year-old every so often starts going na 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 and starts to chant in the car.
He was doing it earlier tonight when I was putting on the bed, actually.
Awesome.
Oh, doing that one, Auckland FC, gets stuck in your head, right?
La, 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 la. Yeah, how good.
Yeah, look, and I've followed football a bit. Like my family are West Ham United fans. But
sorry about that.
Cheers. Yeah, thanks for that.
I
I haven't really followed the A-League much until this year, but like when you've got a team in it, then all of a sudden you got skin in the game.
Oh, it changes, eh?
Yeah. So we're pumped, man. It's such a cool feeling. Yeah, it's awesome.
Also for me, at this stage when it's new and fresh and early, and one of my first games when I was a kid was going to the first season of the Warriors, and we're great Warriors fans, and it's in the same stadium. So to bring the family along and be there at the same stage with them, with the scarves and with the hats, it's great for us.
That's cool. Yeah.
And you chose to sit in the port. Why did you choose to stand in there? The port? How is that? I mean, like a few of us have been in the port. How have you found that experience? Like, it's very unlike anything else in New Zealand before, right?
Oh, it's amazing. Football crowds, you cannot be it anywhere else. It's just the greatest fan experience, and you pick up the sort of the chants and the songs pretty easily. And you just got to go handy, eh? Like when you just got to get in there and really support the team as much as possible. And it's just, I mean, football's just fantastic spectator sport. So yeah, we picked it up pretty quickly. And actually, we usually sit in 21, so we try and lead those guys because 22's got it all going on, and we've got to try and get that whole stand going, I reckon. So that's kind of our sort of secret mission. Yeah,
it is a good mission you're on, because I'm keen for that mission as well, because it is unusual, right? You've got the standing, and then you've got the two either side who aren't quite sure, and it's kind of like it spreads a little bit, and then it's kind of like, how do we get these people standing up in 21 and 23? Like, what's your plan?
Oh, well, just looking at the Facebook post, there was actually some rules that were put out, some rules and guidelines for 21 and 20. For that stand that you have to be standing. Please join in the chanting. Really get enthused, and so that I thought was really great to see on the fan page.
The other thing is we're cricket people as well. So, I've been leading chants all my life in the terraces, man. So, this is nothing new to me. So, yeah, pretty good stuff.
And let's talk a little bit about the last game, because we normally go through the last game or two that we've since we last had a show, and we haven't had a show for a couple of weeks. So we've actually got 2 games to discuss. So maybe you guys can stay on with us while we discuss that last game against MacArthur. What did you guys make of the game? Like, are you Auckland FC fans now that believe we're going to win all these games, and we're going to get those last minute winners and those late goals?
Yeah, it was good to get an early goal. That sort of gets the nerves sorted, but they hit back pretty quickly. Yeah, look, I think we're sitting so pretty, and it's just the fitness, that's really showing, and we're seeing that in kind of the recent media around the team as well, about just how well they're training the house down. Obviously, a bit of creativity up front is sort of getting these goals, but yeah, I'm really hoping that we start to translate some of our late game form through the rest of the game. That's sort of easy for us as fans as well. But yeah, it looks pretty good so far. We don't want to count our chickens, do we? But we're feeling pretty good.
Yeah. Well, Robbie, what about MacArthur at home there? I mean, sort of was it the sort of game we were expected to win now?
Well, yes and no. And I only hesitate because MacArthur's a very good side. Albeit that they have have sold off quite a few of their good young players. But MacArthur are a team that are quite canny, quite dangerous. And we saw that with their goal. Like Valeja, man, his movement off the ball he is one of the best in the league in that. And he basically set up their goal for Jake Holman to finish off, on that cross. But I think there's a lot that we can take confidence out of the fact that this team goes well beyond the 90 minutes. And I think, Brooke, you mentioned Shane, you mentioned the late goals. Auckland lead the comp with goals after the 90th minute. I think they got 5. I think the next highest is Western United 4, and there's a bunch on 2 and 1. So the fact that they're going the distance, they're going all the way to the end, the fitness, their professionalism and how they take on these games and how they play, they are the best in the league at it, and it shows in the fact that they are ranked number 1. So there's a lot of confidence we can take from that. The fact that they're doing that this early in the season, that's not something I think necessarily drops off as the season goes on. So you can certainly be very confident, I think.
Yeah, these late goals are really kind of coming through for us. I mean, it started quite early on in the season. We got I think the second game we beat Sydney 1-0 with the late goal. And it's kind of gone from there, really. I mean, Matthew, want to talk about the late goals? Yeah, I mean, anything to add to that? I mean, what about the away game before the last one, Western Sydney Wanderers away? That one was, I just rewatched the highlights. It was the 95th minute.
Yeah, I'm just trying to. They all seem to kind of. Yeah.
You remember that one?
The way Auckland play and the way they blueprint everything kind of almost seems to merge into one. The thing that I just wanted to highlight was there was a guy running around for MacArthur with a number 98 on the back of his shirt. I mean, if the game hasn't gone already, it's gone big time with a guy running around with a 98 on his
98.
I mean, what is all that about? I mean, from the days where it was 1 to 11, and you've got some fella with 98 squad number on his back, I will retract the statement if it means something to him, but it's going to have to be something pretty major.
Year he was born, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, maybe he's born. I don't know, but yeah, that was one thing that kind of just it was a bit irritable for me while I was running around. So it's good to. But yeah, I mean, Auckland just seemed they have a blueprint, don't they? The thing I mentioned with the MacArthur game was I thought they were pretty rough. I thought they employed a bit of the old, a bit of the dark art, a bit of the rough tactics. There was that bloke in the middle that really should have been booked early days, and he put a bad tackle in not shortly after that, where he did get a yellow card. I think he was lucky to be still on the pitch towards the end, but I thought that was pretty good from Auckland. I felt like they stood up to the task. They didn't, the better teams can sometimes, someone can come to your patch and try and put one on you, and I thought they stood up to the task pretty good. So Matt and May and Brimmer on the pitch at the same time. I think we're starting to see that coming to fruition. I think that's working pretty good. It's basically confirmed what we first thought, that May really isn't an out-and-out striker, is he? And playing,
no, he does better with Matter up there.
Yeah, playing in that little number 10 kind of hovering role seems to work better for him. So yeah. That's about it.
And Brooke and Shane, like, who have your star performers been so far in the team? Who do you like? Who do you like the most?
Well, I'm thinking personally, people like Sakai and people in the defensive end. We just have such a solid base as a team, and a lot of the goals we can see tend to have a bit of a dose of luck to them, which is pretty good to see this season. So yeah, we've got that solid base of defense. And then we just give ourselves the chance to come out in the end. Would you agree?
Yeah, I really notice the plays that they make and the different so the set plays and how they all work together really well as a team, and they're just so quick, and so they do all these configurations and they know what they're doing, and so there's not one particular player that I personally see as a highlight, but I just really appreciate how they do work together to actually move it from one end to the other quite rapidly.
Organized.
Yeah, really organized. Yeah.
I'll put together.
That was really good, Brooke. I thought you were just there for the booze.
You don't need to comment. You don't need to comment.
Yes, you've seen through me. You've got
play hockey, and
everyone go out for a corner.
Yeah. Like the kids play hockey though, and you see that kind of strategy in the hockey games. But when you're watching, say, Union, it's very organized, very quiet, not a lot of crowd response, and that they're very, very grand at this point. But then you go to the league, and you see the league. It's got roughness, but more of that set play too. So it's kind of a merger between that hockey experience that I have and league, and that's why I think it's quite cool to actually watch.
That's lovely. Just a shout out to Danny Milner on the chat, who says he loves the show even though he's a Phoenix fan.
Well,
that's exciting to have the Phoenix fans watching us. And we're playing these guys. We're playing these guys again in a couple of weeks. Another derby, last derby of the season. Brooke and Shane, are you locked in for the derby?
Of course.
Yes.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Of course. See you there.
You probably hear us.
Not trying to be good behaviour this
time. And so before you guys go, like, what's the top of your aspirations for this team? I mean, we're all kind of new to the A-League and how it's all going to work, but do you see us going a long way and getting to the semis and the grand final at the end?
Well, they've set themselves up for that to sort of dream of that. We want a solid season. We're looking at playoffs at least, right? But we don't want to load the team with the expectation, especially when they're finding their feet. We're just sort of happy to be along for the ride and really hoping for the best. But they're certainly a quality side that can get that far. So I don't know if that answers the question. We hope for the best.
Yeah, and for me, what I really aspire to in terms of the way that they're operating is how they are these really great role models for our kids, and the team itself and the club has got a lot of youth development. They're reaching out to our schools, creating clubs and creating the future pathways to be able to grow the sport in New Zealand. So I think that's pretty awesome, and so big up to the club and to the players for enabling that to happen.
Yeah, we shouldn't lose sight of that. The results off the pitch have been so important to the game in the country and in the city.
Well said, absolutely. And Aucklanders have this reputation for being a bit fickle around sport, and I think the football's giving us a chance to prove it wrong and stay in there through thick and thin. So and you guys are part of that, and you are fellow Westies. So always happy to have you on the show.
Thanks for having us on. Appreciate it.
See you at the next game.
All right. Next time. We will see you in the next game. Yeah, thank you very much for coming. We'll pop you off. Cheers. That's Brooke and Shane. Thank you. All right. Yeah, no, I had to get those two guys on. I've seen them at the games. And, you know, Brooke was sitting right behind me, very screamy, I was
with the blue drinks.
Get her on the potty. Get her on the potty.
Yeah.
Get her on the potty. Busy show tonight. It was lovely to have Tommy Smith on earlier. It's good listening to Tommy. great, you know. Like, where I mean, I play the old Football Manager, as you know, and it's kind of like for those guys, they're and you know, you transfer a player out, you know, and you don't think anything of his life or what his family, and you know. There's Tommy telling us that they've actually got lives and considerations, and you know, people trying to start families and things. It's
not.
Kind of interesting.
It's not just it's just not screaming at him at 3 o'clock, between 3 and 5 o'clock on a Saturday.
That's right. He goes.
What are you doing? Why are you not doing
the
this?
shopping? You know, he's got to take his kids to school.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to bring on one final guest tonight. Samson is back. Hello, mate. How are you going?
Hey, very good. Good to see you all again. Yeah, good, mate.
Good to see you. We've had Samson on a couple of times. You know, big fan down the port. See you quite a bit. But tell us, this is almost a little bit of a sad story. It's all coming to an end in person for you. Yeah, mate. I got a one-way ticket overseas going on Wednesday. So sadly, next home game's the Derby. I won't be there, but probably a few happy people around won't be as messy in the port. But I've just a little bit disappointed to go. To be honest, this has been such an incredible few months. You've sort of like a lot of others. Well, tell us a bit about what your life's been like the last few months. Have you felt like you've sort of built your life around this team a little bit? Yeah, no, absolutely. So my wife is actually she's overseas, so I'm going to see her a little bit, which in a week, which has given me a little bit of free reign, which has been probably a good thing for me. You've been a free man here, basically, haven't you?
Yeah.
Safe space.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, always welcome here.
You've made your own choices for the last few months.
Yeah, no. So it's been good though. You know, a lot of the guys in that I'm not really going to get to see. You know, I've grown up with them and things like that, and it's just a little bit like a way for us to kind of get out and experience it. And we've grown up playing football. You know, when I was younger and fitter and healthier, I used to play a lot with these guys, and it's really cool that we've had this opportunity to actually go along and have an active kind of support group. And this has been really, really something extraordinary that I didn't really expect it to be like this. It's just been incredible.
Yeah, that's cool.
What would you say the sort of standout memories have been of your short period supporting the Auckland FC in person?
So Derby at Mount Smart, Phoenix game. I mean, there was a group, me and my mates included, shirts off towards the yellow fever. That was definitely a good laugh. The march last week going around the whole stadium, when you got kind of under that east stand and under the stand there, the echoing of the chanting through that tunnel was just insane. And that's something I'll remember for a while as well. That was really cool. And it was quite neat seeing, you know, there were a few MacArthur fans under there, and it was quite cool. They had their phones out recording us as well. And and it was all good banter as well. There was no like intimidation or anything like that, which is always good, not like Green Street hooligans or anything like that. So it's just been a lot of, there's just so many every game, like even, you know, Newcastle standing 90 minutes in the absolutely pouring rain, and still had 13,000 people there that game.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah,
I think that's our lowest attendance.
Yeah, it was low, but it was it was a big day. I remember it. We've had a message on the chats from John Jamity, who I know you're mates with. He says, ask Samson about the shoes and the shoe chart. Now I'm interested in the shoes. For anyone that doesn't know, last few games, people in the port later in the game have shoes off and we're holding them in the air. Do you want to give us a little bit of an explanation as to where this has come from, what it's all about?
I honestly don't know. I just see people.
Okay, it's just one of those mysteries of life. Yeah, no one knows.
Honestly, it's one of those things. You know, you see, everyone else is doing it. You know, I'm a sheep in this situation. I'll just go with the flow. So, but no, it's been quite neat actually seeing it unfold. And I think what John's referring to is, you got a shoe in one hand and you got a drink in the other hand. It's only natural that you're gonna. I'm just glad that it wasn't caught on TV.
Wow.
I wonder it's come from the shoey. It's come from the shoey, surely, the drinking shoey thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So I did 3 of them at the first time we did it, and I did 1 last week. So
you know what? you say that, but you were on camera quite a lot on that game, because I watched the game on the TV. Yeah, because you came up first, and I went, oh, I said, I know that person, and I went back. I was like, it's Samson from the podcast, and then you came, and then you were again, and I think you were just bringing a shoe down on your on your second appearance. I'm like, okay, something's going on here, and then I'm on Facebook and I see people holding up the shoes, and I'm like, okay. And then I think your third one, you're just celebrating with all the rest of the crowd. So it's like, something's going on. Yeah.
You're giving Big Red a good run for airtime. I tell you what.
Yeah.
Oh, he does well though.
We had John. Yeah, John had that flag that he made with it's been on the Port Facebook group and that with the kids sitting on the shoulders and things like that. And I think that's probably where a lot of the TV time came from. It's really awesome design, and he had it hanging off the front of the stand. So my brother sent me photos. He's an Aussie, and yeah, I think that's probably where that came from. But you see the guy at the Warriors game, they call him Roger Shuivasa. And he's the one that used to stand in front of the coach's box and he'd do shoeies in front of the I'm just glad that we didn't get that kind of that kind of reputation.
Well, the way you were going, you were going to be nicknamed as well by the looks of things.
Yeah, it's probably a good thing.
Yeah, probably good. Probably is.
It's not a bad way to go out either. Yeah, I mean, you know, if that's the last thing you do, it's.
Oh, I don't know. I'm in a similar industry to you, Robbie.
Here we go.
So you're heading over to Thailand to sort of live up there for a while, or you live up there permanently? Was this kind of a hiatus?
No, so we've just built a house up there. Baby's coming in 2 months.
Oh, that's very good.
Oh, awesome! Yeah. Congrats, mate.
Congrats.
Yeah, cheers, mate. I was really excited. So I've been trying to find an Auckland FC onesie, but there's none. Not yet. So if anyone's watching this,
gap in the market.
Yeah, absolutely.
What about an Auckland FC fan club though up there? Like, are you going to start one up in Thailand?
Yeah, absolutely. And there's actually a team in the Thai top division called the Port.
No way.
So it's just natural, you know, like sister club, you know, like we got to do it. I'll go along to some of their games whenever they're playing in the cup against our local team, and but. So I got a job teaching over there, and I've just been trying to find out if I can get a shirt on the wall or something in the classroom, and I'll post pictures up and just take it international.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's great. But a tinge of sadness, no doubt, that it's not going to be a daily a weekly fixture.
No, I'm actually gutted. It's just been it's quite devastating actually to leave it. You know, it's just something good starting, and then that. I mean, wife and baby, I guess, is okay, but
just make it like
in Thailand.
Yeah. I mean, if you get B in sport, I was just googling it. You think they cover it for Thailand, the Asia region, the A League. So
there
you go. Or the old VPN, just
No. Without the VPN, it's genuine live stream through the A Leagues on.
That's
on
actually
YouTube
that's true. Actually, yeah.
And watching it all with the South American bettors and things like that, complaining that their player hasn't scored a goal, and it's interesting. There's quite a few viewers on it actually. I watched the first few games on it, and it's quite an experience.
Yeah.
There you go. Well, we have a bye this week. That's correct, isn't it? We're on a bye.
Yes.
And
the dreaded bye.
The dreaded bye, but actually might give us time to get some of our players back, because Nando Pineka's out for 3 to 4 weeks. So he'll miss one game. What are we at home Western Sydney, the next one? A couple of Saturdays' time?
Next time is the next, I think.
Oh, it's Western United.
Western United away.
That's
the next
away. Oh, that's the Jinx team.
The only team I've seen in the flesh. Well, apart from Auckland, obviously. They're the other one. Don't want to. I don't really want to linger on that one too much.
No. So we've got a bye, and then back in Western away. Can the other teams catch us in this interim? I think we're like 4 points above, aren't we?
5 points clear. No,
5 points clear. So we'll still be top when we
safe.
play again. Yeah. And we've broken the back of the season, right? We've done half the games at least.
Pretty
more
much,
than
yeah.
halfway. Yeah.
Past the halfway mark.
Yeah.
Top of the table. I guess this is the kind of equivalent of being top at Christmas in the English Premier League. You know, we're like more than halfway through. Kind of, you'd fancy yourself if you're top halfway through, right? To what do we think? I mean, we say this every week, but do we think that we're going to keep this form going? Samson, you go first. What do you reckon?
Yeah, you go first.
Yep, I think so, because I mean, we're losing. I mean, Nando's a big loss for us, but I mean, Hall will be back soon. Having Tommy Smith as well, I mean, he's proved beyond a doubt that he's the man for the job. So I think that we've got squad depth. There's some really good young talents coming through as well, and even ones not making the squad. I'm a big fan of Finn McKinley. I know he didn't start. He started the one game and it was a bit of a tough one for him, but hopefully see him back soon. And then, some of the other ones like Randall and even Gillian, hopefully we'll see him back in the starting squad soon. But there's just a really deep team. So I think we can go all the way.
Toomey always gets mentioned as well. Is it Luke Toomey?
Lewis Toomey.
Lewis Toomey. Yeah, people. What's going to happen with him going forward? But we don't get many answers. But maybe he'll be one.
That might be one for the others. Yeah.
I mean, it's just a matter of them taking their moments. Like Corrick has said previously that, you know, we saw it with Rogerson, started well, had a bit of a rough patch, and then he's sort of come good. Gillian's going through that at the moment. Toomey's sort of floated there or thereabouts. If he gets his chance, he could get an extended run, but then he might also find a dip in form. And it's just kind of trying to time all that right, you know. And you've got Marley Francois as well, who's just come in, who looks very handy. Yeah, there's enough depth there, I think.
The depth has worked, like you say. One or two go off form. You know, and Brimmer comes in and out of form. I mean, he can have a game where he wins the game for us, like the Derby away, and then he's sort of gone missing a little bit, and you know, but he's.
But I guess the difference with Brimmer in that, because he's a bit more of a veteran, the gap between his best game and his worst game isn't as pronounced. Like you see when Rogerson's had a bad game, or Moreno or Gillian, whereas Brimmer, he might be a 9 one week and then a 6 to 7 the next week. That's not bad, but you see sometimes the difference between other players. They'll be a 9, but then they'll play like a 3, something like that. You know, to go on Matt's rating system. There's a level of consistency, and because most of those wingers are quite young anyway, they're going to take some time to find their feet professionally. So. I like in terms of depth, I think the only thing I still would like another centre back, just to give it a bit more solidity. You know, it's still going to take time for Dan Hall, and then when Pinecker comes back, it'll take another week or two for them to get it fully up to speed. So I just feel like if there's an extra centre back floating around, I personally would feel a little more comfortable with things. But so far, it's worked out pretty well.
Would that have to be someone that's currently playing in the New Zealand League? You know, you said centre back floating around. But where do you get him from?
It'll be hard. I mean, I think you can, because the window closes at a different time in New Zealand. You can still bring a player in, even if from overseas, if their window's closed. I'm pretty sure that's how it works. Yeah. Like I've seen Bill Tuiloma's name floated around still a fair bit. I'm not sure when the US window closes, but I think he might be an option. Yeah, within New Zealand, you can certainly call up, as long as that window is open still. I think you can call anyone up from domestic.
US window until April 23rd.
Because
if they're a free agent, they can come in whenever.
Do we think Sakai is going to come back into the middle with Tommy Smith for the next game? Because Pinecker and Hall will be out, right?
I don't
think overlook putting Elliott out on the right back though, because he was just so outstanding out there. I've really rated him, and his deliveries as well. You know, I mean, he's put a few threatening balls in there. So
I think that's probably the only last recognised option. Otherwise, it's a couple of academy kids. I think it's Cody Phoenix and then Adama Koulibaly potentially as centre back cover or defensive cover anyway.
It's a weakness going forward, isn't it?
For now, it is maybe more of a weakness.
We're getting through. All right. Final thoughts, Matthew. Next couple of weeks, next month or so. It's critical time, I think, isn't it, in the lead up now to sort of getting close to the end of the season.
Yeah. It just goes on about that. I think just Auckland have been quite unlucky, haven't they, when it comes to the centre backs and the injuries that they've got. I think going forward as well. I think the interesting thing is that Mata, I think, is going to play a lot more in the second half of the season than he did the first.
Yep.
And it actually looks like that Brimmer's almost taken the spot of Gallegos, I think.
Gallegos in the middle.
I think he actually partners for Strata more than in that middle bit.
They rotate the middle, don't they?
Yeah. So, but in terms of the back four, I mean, I don't like moving players that are so good in position, and that means that I would really like to keep Sakai at right back, but I just don't see any way around. I just don't see any way around it though. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I think you're just going to have to move him back into the middle and put Elliott at right back, and just hope that Heineke and Hall come back at a pretty decent pace, so you can go back to where you were. But in terms of moving forward, I think Auckland have just got a really good blueprint. I think they know exactly who they are, what they do, how they go about the games. I can't see them dropping off much. 5-point lead with only a few, with the half season to go. I mean, that's going to be tricky. Probably, a few teams to catch them. So
Yeah, and look, I think the bye has come at a good time for them. That game against Western, they'll be without Verstraete as well because he'll be suspended with his fifth yellow. But even beyond that, so following that Western game, they've got 3 more at home, and the away games to Newcastle. So every game there, so it's Wellington, Adelaide at home, Newcastle away, Central Coast at home. They're all very, very winnable games. So even if they do manage to get a result against Western, or come away with another loss, which is feasible because Western's a very good side, and particularly at home. That's not going to be it's not going to be the worst thing, I think. And looking at what's to come beyond that, I still think they're in pretty good shape if they can get, and especially if they can get bodies back.
Yeah.
They've got
I see no reason for it to drop off.
It would take something very drastic for that to happen.
Yeah, they've got Sydney FC and Melbourne Victory back to back away as well. I mean, that could almost.
You'd go one further. It's the Wanderers, then Sydney, and then Victory.
Yeah, so
which are 3 probably the harder teams.
That's going to make or break, isn't it? Towards the end, if they get the top spot, get the home leg or whatever. Yeah.
I think in terms of premiership, that's probably the key little period there. Yeah.
I was interested to hear Tommy say, the first 6 weeks they're pinching themselves, but after that, it's sort of become business as usual now, and they must really believe that they're not a flash in the pan and that they're going to kick on. There really seems that belief from what Tommy was saying today, don't you reckon?
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, in a good place, in a good spot. Yeah,
they're in a good place. That seems like a good place for us to leave it tonight, guys. So once again, thanks for joining us, Samson. Good to see you, mate, and safe travels up there to the land of smiles.
Cheers, mate. I'll be following.
Your impending family coming as well. So good luck with all that. Cheers for joining us, Robbie and Matt, and our earlier guests, Brooke and Shane, and of course Tommy Smith had our first player on the podcast. So a little bit of a momentous moment for us as well. A nice drop of port, I think. So I was pretty chuffed to get Tommy on. So thanks for the club.
Awesome.
Thanks to the club for letting that happen as well. That's great. Have a great week. No game this week. We'll get back on next week, and just before that Western game away, and get on with the pod. So thank you very much for listening. Give us a like, give us a subscribe, and that is us out. Nice drop of port. Up the ports.
Up the port.
Let's get going.
Go on the lads.
Get on it.
Do it.
Come on.